comes 7 losses.
It's Wednesday. It's 3:00. You know what that means. It's time for a little reality check here on YouTube. I'm Matt O'Leary, joined as always by my good friend, Jeremy, aka Jets Chaos. Jeremy, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? We're here just getting some last second setup. Instead of focused on setting up my mic, I was too busy yelling and interfering with your intro.
That is quite okay. That is on brand for our show. Jeremy likes to add in his own sound effects, which is totally fine. And here we are, another week, another loss. Jets drop to 0-7. Justin Fields gets pulled at the quarter. Tyrod Taylor comes in. There's controversy on who's going to be the starter this week. Woody Johnson has some comments at the owners' meeting. You want to start there? What'd you make of Woody Johnson throwing some shade Justin Fields' way?
I think after the comments we just saw ourselves, I think we need to show it. We need some point of reference here for what we're about to talk about. and by the way, before you play it, here we go again, everybody. Shit show.
Yeah, it really feels that way for the New York Jets. So Aaron Glenn spoke today at the press conference. He was obviously asked, well, who's going to be the quarterback? Totally a fair question because the Jets pulled Justin Fields for Tyrod Taylor. And this is what Aaron Glenn had to say on the subject.
Who's your quarterback, baby?
We will have a quarterback on Sunday. I will tell you that.
Not been announced.
I wouldn't want to give them a competitive advantage when I have that opportunity. But we will have a quarterback.
The list was long. So for Tyrod, did you say this day today?
Yes.
What is he dealing with?
He's dealing with a knee. There's something that he had before.
So just, you know who your starting quarterback is going to be, you're just not announcing it. So it isn't like this week is a competition where you're going to have,
I know who the starting quarterback's going to be.
Okay, you're just not telling us.
Yeah.
Okay. So according to Aaron Glenn, we know who the starting quarterback is, Jeremy. That's totally fine, right? We know. Except Justin Fields gets up the podium and goes, hey, we're splitting reps, first team reps. So that doesn't really feel like a definitive answer to me, Jeremy. I don't know about you, but
yeah, it's interesting that Justin Fields doesn't know. So what you're saying is you don't trust your quarterbacks to tell them, or is that just their way of not sharing? Like, is it he's pretending he doesn't know and he does know? Is it that he doesn't really know because they can't be trusted because it'll slip of who's starting? Because God forbid we lose our competitive advantage. God forbid Cincinnati knows who's playing quarterback. I mean, that information. I mean, if they had that information, we might be in danger of losing. And we don't want that.
No, can't possibly have it at 0-7 when you had one quarterback who came in the second half and threw 2 interceptions. And the first one in the first half, or over his last 6 quarters, I like that stat better, 15 net passing yards over Justin Fields' last 6 quarters of play. I mean, you really almost can't make it up. And just to kind of add fuel to the fire, oh, by the way, Tyrod Taylor is dealing with a knee injury. After like not even 24 hours previously, the owner was just eviscerating Justin Fields and how he's played, saying he can't complete a forward pass.
It's amazing. And we talk about Tyrod Taylor's inability to stay healthy. And you call on the guy to play for 2 quarters, and now he's struggling with an injury. And I see a lot of people in the chat saying, let Brady play. A lot of people want to see Brady play.
There it is. Let Brady simmer. Not cook, but let Brady simmer.
I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Brady would be good yet and he's ready. But could it be worse? If you look at the stats, I've seen many rookie quarterbacks, undrafted free agent quarterbacks come in, even for us, Strevler, when he came in. Like, we've had guys just come in randomly. Have you ever seen a quarterback this bad over 6 quarters?
I don't think so. Not over a 6-quarter span. No, like there's been games where it's in bet. Like I think of Zach Wilson in New England in 2022. That was pretty horrendous, but then they benched him after that. So it wasn't a 6-quarter stretch of it that bad.
So then this kid, Brady, couldn't be worse. This Cook, he could be worse. Like we couldn't get any worse. Right. I mean, I say that, and obviously someone say you could, but I've seen lots of guys, undrafted free agent quarterbacks, no-name quarterbacks come into the game. It doesn't necessarily like even if he's not ready, even if he's not that good, he's still that definition of not good is better than the last two games of football that we've seen. The quarterback we've seen over the last 2 games, you could still be a really bad quarterback, be a lot better than what we've seen.
Well, just look at Tyrod, right? He played poorly. He had 2 interceptions. His completion percentage was under 50%. But at least what is everyone saying this week? At least they moved the ball with Tyrod Taylor. That's the bar. Can you move the ball up and down the field? That's what we're settling for right now.
It seems like he was somewhat functional in the sense that he was actually throwing the ball, and not just sitting there and missing open receivers and then kind of going into the fetal position. And, and again, like we said last week, something's wrong because that's not even the Justin Fields we've seen for 4 years. It's not like, we told you so. That's who he is. Look, if you look at how he played in Pittsburgh, even Chicago, even at his worst, it was never what we're seeing now. Something's wrong.
No, I think clearly, what was it, his knee that was bothering him because he just is not running either. And if Justin Fields isn't going to run, there's really no point of him playing because, as we've said for months, he's not a drop back passer. But the allure with Justin Fields is he's such a good athlete that, you take what you can get in the passing game, and the threat of him using his legs is what makes it challenging to defend him. If he's not using the legs, that's when you're going to rack up 9 sacks in a game against this guy.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of not just me, but a lot of us, I think, saying, I don't want to speak like it's only me that knows this. I mean, it's kind of common sense, like you guys and everybody out there listening right now. I think we all say, or would all agree, a mobile quarterback is great after they check off the box of being able to be a quarterback, right? Like the first test is you can drop back and be a quarterback. The mobility is this extra thing. Like, cool. He's also mobile and can run, but not the other way around. Not he's an amazing quarterback mobily. He can run. He can create things. And then unfortunately he can't drop back and pass, but that's okay. No, actually it's not okay. Right.
And we've seen the result of that offensively. It's netted a combined 17 points over their last 2 games. And a quarter of it technically over the last 2 games was Tyrod. But with Justin Fields in there, they had 14 points in 6 quarters? And that's not acceptable. You can't survive that way.
I would say, like, if I was a GM drafting quarterbacks out of college, I would say I'm only looking at the film where they were in the pocket, right? Or the play was in the pocket. If the tape or if the film exists where they had to go through progressions, great. If they're in an offense that never lets them do it, that might make me have caution. I'm not saying red flag, like censor, can't draft a quarterback because 80% of college is RPO in 1 read, right? So you don't have a choice. But just understand, if you don't have any tape or any film of a quarterback in the pocket going through progressions, it's a crapshoot. You have no idea. Dart working out great for the Giants. We didn't have that film. That's why he wasn't a top 3 pick, right? That's why the Giants were able to get him in the back of the first round. We all knew the kid had talent, for example, but I think that the mystery was, can he do it in an NFL-style offense? And that's often the case. So when we get all excited about these quarterbacks, don't only look at box scores in college, actually try to look for evidence that they could drop back in a pocket and pass, because that's the only way you're going to succeed in the NFL.
Yeah, it's the truth. I think you bring up a really good point with that. This comment from First State Jets, I think, is interesting. So essentially saying, so Woody wasn't wrong on Justin Fields. It's not that I think Woody Johnson was wrong with what he said. I just don't think as an owner, you want to put your player in that position. Like now Justin Fields had to go to the podium today and answer questions about his relationship with Woody Johnson. And we found out like they only met once and they don't really speak, which not that I was necessarily expecting them to, but it's one thing when, two bozos like us on a microphone go, yeah, Justin Fields can't throw the ball. It's a little different when the owner of the team is saying it. No, Jeremy?
I think that, look, he has the right to say what he wants. It's America. It's a free country, right? I think as a fan, you got to think to yourself, and some fans, I respect both opinions on this. Some fans might say he did nothing wrong. Some fans might be in the middle and say he really wasn't that bad, right? Like it was like he just said the truth. So it's not like he went out and said Justin Fields sucks. He said it like he just said an observation. And then another take might be from a fan saying, or opinion might be, I don't want the owner of a team talking about players, individual players, and what, being bad or not being, being more careful about what they say when the person is still employed under you, when there's a chance that he's still going to be taking snaps, that maybe it's not the best thing to say it, even though it's true. And I think all of that is opinion. So I'm going to I'm not going to say, it's totally wrong definitively or not definitively. I think we have different opinions on it. I think that you have to get ready for a media circus if you're, also expect us to be a media circus when you have an owner freely talking about players in that way.
Because they're going to have to go back to Justin Fields. Maybe not. Maybe there's a chance that he never takes another snap again for the Jets, but seems unlikely based on, past history. We just did this in 2022 with Zach Wilson. He gets benched, he gets ripped, and then suddenly injuries happen. He's back in at the end of 2022. You bring in Aaron Rodgers, you keep Zach Wilson on the roster. Rodgers gets hurt immediately. Oh, and guess what? Zach Wilson's back starting after you just ripped the guy for the last 6 months before that. So I'm just saying, be careful with what you say, because yes, my guess is that Tyrod Taylor is going to play. I'll get your opinion on that in a second this week. But I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields plays again. I also wouldn't be surprised if we get Brady Cook starts at some point this year too. I think we see all three quarterbacks.
I don't think it would be wrong to start Brady Cooks. Like in my mind, it's like, when is the season over? When do you want to start evaluation? When do you want to be honest and admit, because he hasn't been very honest about it. I don't think this head coach has been honest about it at all, in that this is not this is a rebuild. This is like, you're not really serious, and you never were. Like when you didn't put another wide receiver on the field with Garrett Wilson, you weren't being serious. When you got Justin Fields as your quarterback, you weren't being serious, right? And some people argue, well, maybe they thought he could be good. But the reality is, I think it's being unveiled now that that this is a rebuild. And at what point, and I had trouble with the last regime for the same thing. At what point, when your record gets so bad, do you at least get some value out of the season by looking at what you have and evaluating players so you can make better personnel decisions at the end of the year and in the next offseason? I would like to know what this kid Brady Cook can do. If he sucks, at least we know he sucks. So then we know, okay, we need a new starting quarterback and we need a backup quarterback. But if he comes out and he plays average and kind of does okay, maybe not great that he's our future quarterback, he might do well enough to say, hey, we got a backup quarterback. So now get the QB1 and let this kid be the backup.
Yeah, and I think the unknown is what's attractive about Brady Cook. You kind of know what Justin Fields is. You kind of know what Tyrod Taylor is. My argument, or really more so reasoning why I think the Jets are going to go Tyrod route, or why Aaron Glenn's going to go Tyrod route, I think not from my perspective or from like what's best for the New York Jets in general, but what's best for Aaron Glenn is, I think, winning games. I think it's important for him to show that he can win games in the NFL for him to be back next year. If he goes 0-17, all that goodwill that he got from Woody Johnson yesterday, I think that goes out the window. So who of the three gives him the best chance to win a game right now? I think the answer is probably Tyrod Taylor. So I think that's who starts this week until inevitably he gets injured or the performance isn't good enough. And then, I don't know, the last 4 games of the year, we're probably in Brady Cook territory.
You would think. I mean, it's just like you said, it depends if the coach has the job stability. Maybe he has the conversation with Woody to say, hey, this could get very ugly, but I really want to evaluate this kid and see what we got. And I want to do it with a bunch of other players too. And it's probably going to, decrease our chances of winning. But then again, we're going to do the best with them because we want to see them competitive and trying to win and see what they got. And you're never asking players to throw the game on the field. When people say tanking or whatever it is, I think there's a level of, okay, we're going to go into evaluation mode and we kind of knowingly know that we're not going to put our best guys or, we're not doing everything to win. We're looking at evaluation, but that doesn't mean that the guys on the field playing in that moment are not expected to play with everything they have.
Now, Kathleen says JF has to play again. Too much money on the table. Do you think the money is going to play a factor in this decision?
I think it could. I think it does for a lot of teams. I would say that the winners that I know, the people who have won, don't care about the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think, I think Parcells is a great example. I don't think Parcells cared about the money. I think Pete Carroll, I know for a fact, he's my best example because I read a lot about him and I followed him as a head coach. Pete Carroll, when he was in Seattle, was very animate about you earn the job. And Russell Wilson, when he earned that job as a rookie at the rookie quarterback, that was evidence that money wasn't a factor because they had just paid that kid from Green Bay, a ton of money.
Matt Flynn.
Yeah, Matt Flynn. And it did not matter. Matt Flynn did not earn the job. It didn't matter that they signed him a giant contract. They brought in Russell Wilson, and the rest was history. The next few years went pretty well for them. So I'd like to believe, it would show a lot to me if money was not a factor and they are able to make the decision on just putting the best, fielding the best team without money being a factor. It's not very often that's the case.
No. And I don't think money should play a factor in the decision. I'm very adamant about playing the best guys. And that could either be the best guys to help you win or the best guys to help you evaluate. And I think there's a strong case on both Tyrod and Brady Cook playing. I think at least with 10 games left in the season, I don't think we're going to get the Brady Cook starts right now. But at some point, it is coming down the line. And it's just, it really stinks that this is the position that we're in as Jet fans, that they're 0-7 and that Justin Fields has played so poorly over the last few games that we have to have this conversation about going to Tyrod Taylor or going to an undrafted rookie free agent.
Yeah, of course. I think what we were hoping is that, there were a few people that thought Justin Fields would be the answer. I think the majority of us were hoping he could be what we all called him, which was a bridge quarterback. And I think by bridge quarterback, we were all hoping for better than this. We were hoping for, functional, we knew we didn't, most of us were realistic. We knew that it was a long shot to be a playoff team. I think a lot of us were hoping for 7 wins, 8 wins. We're hoping to see the young players look good and kind of figure out where we needed to grow this team. And I think one of the most frustrating and disappointing things is it's becoming very obvious that we're in complete rebuild mode. And that's tough to swallow. That's tough to swallow because I think we were all hoping that the season would go a little differently and that we would recognize, yes, we still need players to be really competitive, but that we have some core and then we know what we're building on. And now it's kind of like I'm hearing trade Q, trade JJ, trade Breece, trade, trade this one, trade that one. Like everybody wants everyone traded just to get draft picks. And that's literally the point where you're saying clean house and start over. That's hard to swallow as a Jet fan, isn't it?
No, it definitely is. And we're going to spend a significant chunk of time on that in just a little bit. I want to go through some more comments and stick on the quarterback conversation, but it is hard, right? Like, I don't think there weren't many fans who thought this was going to be a winning team or a playoff team this year. Most people were predicting losing seasons. I had them at 7-10. That seems astronomically positive based on what they've looked so far. But most people that I talked to were at 6, 7, maybe 8 wins if things broke right. I don't think anyone thought they would be 0-7, looking at potentially 0-8 before their bye week.
Oh, maybe Jake Osmond.
Maybe, yeah. I don't even think. No, he had him at 6.
Right. Even he had him getting 3 to 6 wins.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Mike chimes in with another example here, saying the 49ers named Purdy the starter over Lance, whom they drafted and gave a huge contract. Kyle said Brock runs the offense better. He has to play. That's another good example, Jeremy, on what you were saying before.
Yeah, and true. And because they traded all those assets to get up to the third pick, right? They traded the world to get Trey Lance, and there was no hesitation. Purdy played well, and he was the guy. And yeah, it's true. They got ship Lance away, and accept your mistake. Say we made a big mistake. We could have, they made a huge mistake. They could have had a lot. They're lucky the next year backed themselves up and took Purdy with that pick.
Yeah, and it's not like, at least with Trey Lance, they didn't double down on that mistake. I mean, how many games did he end up starting as a 49er? Four starts. He had over 2 years.
They were able to be honest with themselves. I mean, that was they saw what he was in practice. They confirmed it in a couple of games. They didn't need to drag it out. They were able to admit we misjudged. Maybe he'll be ready in a few years, but we don't got a few years. They were competitive, and they made a trade. And they dumped them, and they were very lucky. I mean, Purdy. No, we're talking about the Niners, but it's just interesting to say. It's just interesting to say that Purdy probably saved Shanahan's job.
Oh, for sure, right? Like if that was a complete whiff and they didn't have anybody else to turn to, are they getting another chance to draft a quarterback? Now, maybe because they had some winning seasons before that with Jimmy G, but you just turn the key right or turn the page right over to Brock Purdy and it ends up working out. So you're right. I think you're spot on with that one.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a little bit off topic, but it's an interesting comment from Sean and something that was brought up to me a couple times this week. He says we should just keep it as is and keep working on our offensive line in the draft next year.
I don't know what that means. Is he saying don't get a new quarterback? Like just stay with Fields and Tyrod Taylor?
I don't know if it's going that far, but the comments that I received was that the Jets offensive line is still not very good. And I kind of wanted to see where you fall on the evaluation of the offensive line as currently constructed.
I think Membu looks great individually. I think Olu is struggling a little bit, but he's young and he's only about 20 starts into his career, but showing that he could, he's had good games and he's had some bad things, but they're the kind of things where it's not that he's being out talented and doesn't have the talent. He's just being out experienced. In when he is being beat by veteran, edge rushers, which is normal development. So, but I do think that we're good at tackle. I think I think that we're going to have some guard situation and center situation that we do have to work out. When I do mock drafts, unfortunately, I started doing a few just to see what it looks like.
Me too.
My drafts have us taking interior guys. Like I have a guard that I like that's available in about the third round, and I take a center in the fourth or fifth round. So I'm like, it's in my mind that we have to still keep drafting offensive linemen, specifically interior, because we don't know what's going on with AVT. Simpson's a free agent. Is Myers the center? Do we move Tippmann back to center? There's a lot of questions in the center, in the middle of our line. I'd like to hold the integrity of it as much as we can because I like continuity. But I do think I do think it is a need to start getting young talent in there. I wouldn't use first, second round type of capital. But can't we be like every other NFL team? Because every other NFL team that you look has somewhere on their offensive line good starting contributors that were not first or second round picks. We need to be that team too.
Yeah, and I think there's 3 guys who are absolutely coming back to this unit, which is the 2 tackles and Joe Tippmann. Whether he's playing center or guard is up for debate. I think he's looked good at right guard, so just kind of leave him alone. AVT with the injuries, I think you let him walk, but I'd be interested in bringing back both John Simpson and Josh Myers and still drafting someone late day 2, early day 3 who can play interior offensive line. Maybe it's a center, maybe it's a guard. Haven't quite, landed on who that should be. But just that approach, I think, is wise. Keep the offensive line gelling and growing together as a unit. You have 3 building block pieces there. And I think the line also improves with better quarterback play. I think the pressure numbers are so high because of how long the quarterbacks have held onto it. And not just Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor falls into that category too. He holds onto the ball forever.
Yeah, I mean, and then you start to know what you have in an offensive line, right? When you see a better quarterback play. I think that I mean, I'll say this. I think you should always be stacking your offensive line every year. But again, though, look at every NFL team. There's plenty of offensive line talent in the mid rounds, especially the interior. There are starting level guards that get drafted in the 3rd and 4th rounds all the time. So I'm always about, you never just say we're good. Like, offensive line is one of those positions. Defensive line, like line of scrimmage, man. You got to win the line of scrimmage. Always about drafting guys, right? Always looking to grow, always looking to improve. That's a different conversation of where you put your 1st and 2nd round picks, though. The 1st and 2nd round picks, you got to take stuff. Like, it's not just positional need. With those picks, you got to take the stars. You got to take the guys you think are going to be all pro football players, regardless of position.
No, I agree with you. And it almost feels like, and maybe this changes with how the rest of the season and off season, like free agency goes. It would almost feel crazy if they don't go quarterback, wide receiver with their first 2 picks. Those feel like the 2 biggest needs.
That's what I'm doing constantly.
Right.
Like,
edge.
that's what I constantly think. I mean, edge is the one exception. If there's a special guy in the 2nd round, or if we trade or do any weird thing that we have an extra 2nd round pick, you might want to mix in an edge. If for some reason, by freak nature, that like there's a couple of really top level safeties, if one of them was to slip, I'm not saying I would take a safety in the 2nd round, but I would understand it. If it was a stud, I'd say, okay, it's clearly a very deep position of need. But I think that I would like to, because we have this history of not being able to score points, I would like to fix the offense as the priority. I wouldn't mind if it was quarterback, wide receiver, interior offensive lineman, another tight end, like really just starts running back. We don't know what's that with Breece. Like, just stack the offense. And if we lose games 40-38, okay, next year we'll lose games that way and know, okay, now we just need to get some defensive guys, fix the defense, but we finally fixed the offense. We got the quarterback, we got the offensive line. Now let's just focus on the defense, and be competitive and score points. But I think this fan deserves to have a football team that scores points.
Yeah, and you want to put the quarterback in the best position to succeed, right? You want to know if he's the guy or not. You don't want to leave any, the offensive line wasn't good, who were the weapons, who was the running back, the whole thing. Like, you want to put the quarterback, whoever that is that they take early in this draft, in the best position to succeed. And then you kind of worry about the other things later. I am in agreement with you there for sure.
I mean, the way to look, I mean, and that's a perfect example, right? You have a young quarterback, 1st-year quarterback. Okay. Forget the argument of who should be coaching him. A great defense and surrounding with a lousy offense is not the way to build up that quarterback's confidence. Right. No. Like, if the defense is giving up tons of points, but you're scoring a lot of points, whether you're winning or losing those games, at least the quarterback has a chance to feel successful. And you're right. You get to see. If you stack that offensive line and you get him another receiver with Garrett Wilson and you got good running backs and a decent running game, there's no excuses. You get to see if he develops over that first year. You get to see what you have. But what you don't want is, we've went through this situation so many times, and I'm not making excuses for these guys and saying they would have been good quarterbacks, but how many times have we lived through the fact that we don't know if they're a good quarterback, and we always have to think, did we just ruin them? Because they're running for their life, they're getting killed, they're getting hit. The whole Sam Darnold, I see ghosts, like, was that the Jets' fault? A lot of people say, if you look at what he's become, like, he could have been maybe not what he's become, but he could have been decent and a guy you could have lived with that developed into what he is now if you would have had the right players and the right coaches around him.
Ryan Grisham uses his membership chat. He's been a member for 12 months, a full year. Thanks for being a member. Ryan says, hey fellas, I think we're either going to be set back another 5 years if AG drafts a quarterback next year and it doesn't work out after AG year 3. Your thoughts?
I agree.
I mean, if it doesn't work, then it is going to be set back. You need to hit on the quarterback.
No matter what you do. But if you don't draft the quarterback, then you're guaranteed not to win. Like, if we don't, like, people saying he's the wrong coach, don't draft the quarterback. Okay, so we'll win 2 to 3 games next year. Like, we're not going to ever be able to even have a hope of winning until we draft a quarterback. And even if the first year's rough, or whatever it is. I would say the only responsibility we have is to put that young quarterback, if you're going to play him, in a good situation as best you can. So if you're going to put him in there, you can't put him in there and then not address, if AVT leaves and Simpson leaves, you can't just, do what they did and get value guys that aren't good. Like, if you're going to draft a quarterback, you better surround them with a lot of talent on the field and protect them.
100%. That's the only way to do it. And I don't think you can forego drafting quarterback because you're afraid you might not have the right coach. You need coach and quarterback are the two most important things. You don't have a quarterback. You're still unsure about the coach. Got to take one, man. You got to try.
Yeah, I don't know that Estran's a bad offensive coordinator. I honestly don't know it because I'm looking at the quarterback play. I don't know if there's an offensive coordinator alive that can deal with this. Yeah. I mean, it's been completely dysfunctional from the level of play from the quarterback position. I mean, Justin Fields, literally, we have that one play says it all. I know it's one play, but come on, man. There were two guys uncovered, and he's staring right at them, and he's double clutching the ball and gets sacked.
He's afraid to make a mistake. Afraid to throw it. Not a good place to be. We're going to get into the trade rumors because there's a lot of guys, according to Jordan Schultz, who could be on the trade block. But first, we are brought to you by Sleeper. Think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players. You can do it pregame or live. Pick more or less from their predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, or they have a new offer, free $20 no deposit required promo that they're running right now. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you to Sleeper for supporting the show. All right, let's get into all these trade rumors that are circling around according to NFL insider Jordan Schultz. He says teams are keeping an eye on the Jets ahead of the trade deadline. Names being mentioned include, it's a long list, so buckle up, Breece Hall, Quincy Williams, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Michael Carter, and Alan Lazard, among others. So I think we kind of just take this list, go by one here, and talk about if we want to trade them, if we think they're going to be traded, and what you can get back in return. Starting with Breece Hall, I know how we kind of both feel on Breece Hall, and I know Aaron Glenn has also said that he's not trading Breece Hall. This feels like the most writing on the wall going to be dealt guy on this list, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it if it's a third round or better. And I know that's a stretch. I don't know if we're going to get that. So 4th round, I'm kind of thinking to myself, really? Like, is it worth a 4th round pick? I mean, I guess if you don't want to pay him. But then I would say I hope they're at least smart enough to make that decision first. Like, are you trading him because you don't want to pay him? Like, if you're saying, hey, he's going to want, maybe they know. Maybe his agent already told them, right? Maybe they've already had a talk about it, just to feel them out. If they're sitting there thinking they're going to get $12 million for him, then I guess a 4th round pick, get what you can for him because we ain't paying him $12 million. I mean, he's just not, because he ain't earning it. He doesn't look like a $12 million running back to me. But it's sad. It's sad because it creates another hole for us. Because as much as we all like Braylon Allen and Isaiah, Davis, neither of them have proven or shown anything that they could be RB1s.
No, if they do trade Breece Hall, then I think they're going to have to bring in a running back to add to this rotation that you could use with Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. With Breece, I think you're probably looking at a 4th or 5th round pick. I know you said you're hoping for a 3rd. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that's a very optimistic look.
Desperate team, maybe.
Yeah, that's what you got to hope for. A team gets desperate. It's a late 3rd round pick on a Super Bowl contender, I guess. But and we said this a couple weeks ago too, Breece is the exact guy who's going to get traded to the right situation and play really well for a good team. And it's going to be so frustrating to watch.
Yeah. I mean, he will. He'll like the types of teams that would trade for him right now. Like, if he gets traded, brace yourself because it's going to be the kind of situation where he's set to succeed because it's going to be a competitive team that had an injury and needs a running back. It'll be a team like the Chargers, or, it'll be some situation like that where he's going to go in and he's going to take off.
Yeah.
I mean, you could feel it because if you've been a Jet fan for any amount of time, this to be true, just based on the fact that he was a Jet going to another team. So what's going to happen? Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be quite Saquon to the Eagles, but I think he's going to be really good if he goes to, the Kansas City, for example, who could use a running back like him. And then what do you know? He's, top 3 in the league for running backs and receiving yards and is getting a bunch of touchdowns every week. It's going to sting. That's kind of all I wanted to say. Like, I think it's coming, so I'm bracing myself for it, but I think that one's going to sting a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like if he goes to Kansas City, he's going to obviously look really good there.
Really good. I'm with you on that. What about Quincy Williams? He was next on the list. He was activated today, by the way.
Kind of just like, because knowing where we are as a team, I don't know that Quincy Williams matters that much. I mean, it's you could probably, whatever pick you get from 3rd, 4th round, day 2 pick, you could probably, if you draft well, you may even be able to replace him with a guy that's just, free, basically costs nothing, that gives us the same thing with maybe a higher ceiling. That's another position like running back and center. Like there are some positions that nowadays, the way that, just the way the NFL is structured, 3rd round, 4th round, you can get linebackers. That's one of the positions. A lot of really good players that not guaranteed, but that could step up and end up being everything that Quincy is.
Yeah. And, another thing, I feel like I'm repeating myself every week, but the Jets made their decision when they paid Jamie and Sherwood. I don't think you're paying 2 linebackers big money. They decided to sign Sherwood. Quincy's on an expiring deal. He'll be 30 years old. I just don't think it makes sense to keep him around. Maybe he plays one more week before the bye week and gets dealt after that. But you're probably getting a mid-round pick, somewhere between a 3rd and 5th round pick for Quincy Williams. And my biggest thing was, is he going to be healthy? He looks healthy now. So once the health becomes, not part of the equation, I think it's honestly a foregone conclusion that he's likely to be traded. San Francisco makes a ton of sense with Fred Warner out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they and yeah, it's Salah. I mean, so, and and there are 2 places you could see him going, right? Well, there's 2 coaches we know are in this league that love him, right? We know that Salah
and Ulbrich,
and we know that Ulbrich loves him. So
the 2 of them. Not that this guy was on the list, but we just mentioned Quincy Williams. There's been a lot of talk about his brother, Quinnen Williams. What do you think happens there? One, I guess, are you on the side that the Jets should be trading Quinnen Williams? And do you actually think he does get dealt in the next week?
I don't like the trade value that Kind of Hughes put out there. Kind of Hughes put out the estimated trade value, and they're saying 2nd rounder. He put out a tweet yesterday, like he said, here's what the from the feedback of GMs that I know in the league. He always does that, right? Is he full of it? I don't know. But he said this is the estimated value of players. And he listed our players and he said what their trade value was. And he had him listed as a 2nd round pick, that like we would trade him for a 2nd round pick. I am not on board with that.
No. I don't think it's worth it, honestly. I think you need to be getting at least a 1st round pick and probably more than that.
Even if, and the same goes with JJ, because we know Tigo and Domsey were given this argument of why it would make sense to trade Jermaine Johnson, right? Here's why I'm so anti that, and I just don't agree with that. Because even if you're rebuilding and you say, oh, he's 28, so first of all, rebuilds nowadays, if this fan base will explode if we're not winning in 2 years, right? Our expectation, even if it's a rebuild, but is that by 2027 we're winning 8-9 games and competing for a wild card, right? At the worst, like next year's another shitty year, or like we make some forward progress.
Better,
the year after that, we better be competing for the wild card at least, right? We could all agree on that. So I don't care if he's 28. Extend them for 5 years till he's 33. What, you don't think Jermaine Johnson and Edge can't play till they're 33? Let him be part of the rebuilds. Who cares? And then when we're good, he gets old and he has to be replaced. But Just because you're in a rebuild doesn't mean you get rid of all your good players. I mean, we still have to build around something, and we're still allowed to have some good players, even if we're rebuilding. I don't understand this mindset that some people are having that, oh, he's 28, so he's just a casualty. JJ's got to go. Baloney, man. Baloney.
No, I agree with you on that. And DNY for life says, if we deal Quincy, Quinnen is gone. Do you think that plays a factor in it on the Quinnen side? Like if Quincy gets traded, do you think he's like, yeah, you know what? I'll try this thing somewhere else.
It's possible. I think that we're, that's an opinion. Like with that, I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't, I don't know if he's done anything that's for sure shown that or ever commented or said anything like that. It's possible that he says we're losing. My brother's not here. Maybe that could be a factor of why he's not staying. Like if my brother's here, I would have wanted to still stay. But like, I don't have the pull of playing with my brother anymore. And this team is trash. And I don't want to go through another rebuild again. I'd rather just go to a team that's competitive now today. So, I mean, I guess there's some truth to this.
Yeah, I don't want to trade Quinnen Williams. But if that's what happens and he's like, hey, you're trading my brother, like, we gave this a good run. I want to go somewhere where I can compete. Fine. All the respect in the world to him. I want a first round pick back for Quinnen Williams. I don't want to trade him for a second.
Yeah. I just out of principle, I just can't. I can't, like, you can't take, you take a second round pick for this guy. He's been one of the best football players we've had in how long?
Right. He's still a top 5 player at his position.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel fair. Like we're going to give him away for a second round pick. It just feels like we're just being shaken down,
Now with Jermaine,
I have too much pride for that. No, I will not be shaken down.
No, we're not going to be shaken down here. That's for sure. On Jermaine Johnson, is that also not the kind of personality that you'd want to build around too?
It makes no sense to me that it's even suggested Jermaine Johnson trading him, and it's for a third round pick. That's the perceived value of him. Third round pick.
Yeah,
are you out of your mind? You're going to take a third round pick when you have an edge that's good, that knows how to seal the edge, and it's a weakness on the team.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a weakness on the team. You have Will McDonald, who is a specialist. He is proven, I guess, at this point, not to be an every down edge. Right? He can't do it. He doesn't defend the run. He's a specialist. He's a pass rush guy. Fine, check that box. Boom. You still need 2 edges that could seal the edge and could get to the quarterback, at least one of them. Like consistently, right? That's what you want. Winning teams have that, right? Jermaine Johnson, I don't know what his sack potential is or how high it could be on a full complete team, but I do know he is outstanding at sealing the edge. He is outstanding at that. He's a very good football player. He's finally healthy, and when he's healthy, we see it. He plays really well. He's a needle. He moves the needle. We've seen it the last 2 weeks. It is absolutely insane to me to say, let's, for a third round pick, get rid of this guy, totally bomb the position, blow out that position. Now we need 2 edges and argue that, yeah, well, we're doing a rebuild anyway. Rebuilds are not 5 years anymore.
No.
If we're doing a rebuild, we want to be this offseason. Yes, we traded some guys. We have a lot of picks. Get the quarterback in. They get their 1 year to like work, get the quarterback some experience, whatever it is. That's how it's going to look, right? And then 2027, we want to be winning some games. So you can't get rid of everybody. If that's going to be possible, if 2027 is going to be possible that we could like hope for a wild card, in December when that graphic goes up in the hunt, one of the teams in the hunt, you can't trade everybody and have that be realistic.
I'm with you. I'm in lockstep. And again, I think Jermaine's a leader on this team, and we noticed a huge difference with him back on this defense. The defense looks entirely different. And do you feel the same way about Will McDonald? He's next on the list. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald. Are you trading Will McDonald?
I don't know why we would look to. I mean, I guess I'd answer the phone. Is someone willing to give us something crazy for him? But otherwise, why would we? Why would we say, let's create another hole? Because what are they going to trade for him? A 4th round pick? 3rd round pick? What is it going to be? Are you going to find a Will McDonald in the 3rd, 4th round?
No.
So what are we talking about? Like, I don't get it. Like, and people say, well, you save the money. Well, you got to pay someone. Like save the money. Like they've got to pay someone. And guess what? We're not looking to go out and get superstar free agents because we're not at that stage. We're rebuilding, right? So you're not going to go out and get like a Micah Parsons free agent type guy, or like if he was a free agent, for example, you're not going to go out and bring in a $40 million a year defensive edge, right? You're not going to do that because you're rebuilding. It's stupid to do that. So who cares about like, oh, you have to pay him some money. If he's like, that's like, okay, so we have to pay him some money.
He still has 2 more years on his rookie deal too. This is only year 3 for him.
Right. So that's what freaked me out when I saw the trade value of him and they were saying 4th round. I was like, are they smoking crack? We got this kid 2 more years on a rookie deal. Like, why? What are we talking about? Like it's like people just want to dump and have a total fire sale. And you know what? Every team I've ever seen do that, I can't think of my head of a success story where that franchise then ends up being good. Seattle didn't have to do that to rebuild. Pittsburgh didn't have to do that. Like so many teams have been able to sustain a success without doing that.
And I don't think you're doing it with loading up on 4th round picks and trading off like decent starters for 4th round picks.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, don't we want to have a core to build on? Why can't we name the 8 or 9 players we actually like and try to keep them and then build around them? Why does it have to be get rid of them all and just have picks and nothing?
And it's very different for like the first 2 guys we listed, Breece Hall and Quincy Williams, because they're on expiring contracts. You'd have to pay him after this year. But Will McDonald has 2 more years left on his rookie deal. Jermaine Johnson's in year 4. You have to give him a contract after next year, obviously, but like good player, leader on this team. I don't know that. Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson are 2 guys that I really would not consider dealing. The next 2 guys on this list, I don't know how much you'd get back for Michael Carter, but he's listed here with Jarvis Brownlee coming in. I think he's a better fit in this Jets defense.
Yeah. Expendable. I mean, that makes sense. You have a guy. You're not creating a hole on your roster.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah. Goodbye. Nice to know you. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I mean, was a good player under Robert Saleh. I think the injuries really hurt him the last couple of years, and they would save a lot of money by trading him or cutting him after the season. Like if you're just going down the road where you're going to cut him after this year anyway and save the $10 million, if someone gives you a 5th or 6th round pick for it, say thank you. Okay, fine. We're going to cut you anyway.
We replaced them anyway. It's like, and you got 2 coaches out there that we know, at least the minimum of 2 coaches out there that love them. So go enjoy.
Yeah. That one makes a lot of sense. I think he is a candidate. And the last one, Allen Lazard is listed here. Do you think any team would actually trade for Allen Lazard?
I think we all know the obvious team that might consider it, because Allen Lazard is good with one quarterback, right? For some reason, when there's a particular quarterback under center named Aaron Rodgers, suddenly Lazard is a functional wide receiver. So, and Pittsburgh needs more receiver help. And Aaron Rodgers has, a lot of pull and push, and it's his guy. I don't think we're going to get a lot for him, but I definitely think the Steelers would give something for him. And I think that they would be right to, because he does play better when Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback.
Yeah, and they're looking for wide receiver help. So even if that's a pick swap, it's like, hey, give us Lazard in a 7th and we'll give you a 6th. Fine, do it. Whatever it is, right?
You just take it. I mean, we gave up a couple of swaps against us to get. They were great trades, Phillips and Briggs, and they both were wonderful deals. They really worked out. But we do have some, need to get that back, right? Get that 6th back, because we saw what you could do with the 6th. More important than the pick itself, we've learned that at 6 rounds pick could actually get you someone, because using 6 round picks and swapping picks, we managed to bring in 2 real players.
100%. Wanted to go to this comment from Dano, who is asking, what are our thoughts if we make 0 trades? Wasted opportunity, Jeremy, if they make 0 trades?
I mean, I will assume that no one made a reasonable offer.
Okay.
Because I don't want to like totally jump off a cliff, right? And have to like accept the fact that we're that stupid of an organization that we wouldn't make any moves to try to get some more picks, knowing that we're going to have to get some fight to get some talent in. But I will assume that, I'll try to give them the benefit of the doubt that to just wasn't a suitor, because it takes two organizations for a trade, right? Someone has to be willing to give something up. So there's just no point in throwing a guy away for a 7th round pick, right? I mean, so there are certain players, we just said it, where it would take, like we rarely say trade him for a 7th. We usually say trade him for a 6th, because a 6th has some value. A 7th, I don't know if there's really any value in that. Like, is there any guy? Maybe there are. Ask the chat. Are there any guys that you would rather have a 7th round pick and just trade the guy?
Lazard.
It might be Lazard, because a lot of people say Lazard. And, some people would trade Lazard for a, Taylor ham and egg and cheese sandwich.
Michael Carter.
Sorry, or a pork roll, egg and cheese sandwich. Yeah. I want to like play both sides here.
You got to play both sides, but we all know that a bacon, egg, and cheese is superior, right? You're a Brooklynite.
From New York, you know that it's bacon, egg, and cheese all day, not some freaking imitation spam.
Imitation spam. He said that's fantastic. Oh, holy shit. Yeah, the two guys that I would be like, I would take pretty much anything for are Michael Carter and Alan Lazard. Everyone else has a price. Like, would you trade Breece Hall for a 6th round pick, or would you rather just ride it out with Breece Hall and see what happens at the end of the season?
I would not trade Breece Hall for a 6th round pick.
I'm in agreement,
because maybe, just maybe, we might decide that we want to pay him $7 to $8 million. But I do think that there is such thing as principle, like saying, even if he leaves, we're not doing it for a 6th round pick. And maybe I'm wrong for that. Maybe pride or stubbornness is a stupid thing. I don't know. But I kind of feel like, what about future trades though? Like, isn't it okay to establish who you are, like as a GM, to establish that you're not going to fleece me? You're not going to underpay me, because I want to establish that when you come and when you call us, that we have a certain level of fairness that we're going to demand, and we're not going to give you Breece Hall for a 6th round pick.
No, I think it would be silly to move off of him for a 6th. I think it's probably going to be a 4th. That's my guess. That'll be a 4th round pick.
It's reasonable. I mean, in the sense that there are running backs now that are effective in the 4th round, that you can get a running back in the 4th round in the NFL.
They just have so many day 3 picks, and they're missing a 3rd round pick. So even if it's like you trade both Breece for a 4th and Quincy for a 4th, and you have a crap ton of 4th round picks, hopefully then Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are like, we got to be aggressive and get into the 3rd round, because you can't just sit back and be like, we're gonna actually draft 14 guys and we're just gonna stay put, and that's how you end up with it's like 12. That doesn't.
The reason you build up those 4th round picks is to get into the 3rd round, in my opinion. And depending where you are in your rebuild and what's out there and what, and sometimes I like when they wait for the draft to actually happen and read the boards.
Yeah.
Read the boards as it's happening. And because it's like everyone thinks you have to make the trades ahead of time. You don't. Most of those mid-round trades happen during the draft, like as it's happening. So, you could get, it's nice to have some 4th round picks in your pocket. You see a guy that you really like slipping, you call some team that might have guys on their board that they believe will be there in the 4th round anyway, so they're happy to do it.
Or maybe you're looking to add a wide receiver too, and use one of their 4th round picks to trade for a wide receiver. I prefer to go through the draft and take someone at the top of the 2nd, but there's creative ways that you could use your day 3 picks to acquire talent. That's not just, we're going to sit there and take a player.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Greg P chimes in and says, I just hope we can keep them bought in is my only fear, but I don't want to trade anyone outside of Michael Carter, Quincy, and Breece. That's another good point. If they trade, let's say, those 3 guys, do you think that's enough to lose the locker room?
I think that you could lose the locker room for the rest of this year, but like the way to get them back is to have a good offseason. And, you have to make really good moves in the offseason to give them hope, because we've done it before. We've the season's ended and we've all felt like crap and there's no way to turn it around. And we've managed to do some things on the offseason that kind of put fire into us. And I'm sure that works on the players too. So an example would be, for some of you, I know some people will hate what I say this. Some people will love it. If we went into the draft and drafted Mendoza, for some players that might be, light some fire under them and get them back to say, okay,
here we go.
Yeah, here we go. We got ourselves a quarterback, depending on how they feel about him. And then there are going to be people who are screaming right now that, like taking Mendoza is the worst thing in the world you could do, so.
He's not the answer. Ryan chimes in and says, thoughts on placing the franchise tag on Breece Hall. The running back franchise tag for this past year was $13.6 million for the franchise tag for that position.
I don't think you franchise him. I think you offer him 8 to 9. If he wants to go, you let him go.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they already talked to his agent, though. So we don't know what they know. We're the only team allowed to talk to his agent.
Correct.
Right? His agent hangs around our guys all the time. You ever see that in the movie with Tom Cruise? Like, I guarantee you, his agent hangs around all the time, and he says numbers like, "Oh, you're gonna every time he does a good play, 10 million." Like I'm sure shit like that goes on. I don't know to that level, but there's numbers being thrown, or there's talk that happens, and we have the ability to talk. I don't know that for a fact that we actually did, but I'm just saying we don't know that we haven't. So. We don't know what they know. They might already know what some ballpark figure of what they're thinking. But sometimes you have an agent and a player that are saying, I'm not, that they believe in themselves more than their stats, saying this was circumstance. I'm a $12 million running back. If he's saying that, if his agent's saying that to us, get ready, he's a $12 million running back, then you do not franchise him. And you could trade him for almost anything, for all I care, if he's saying that, because he's not coming back. We're not paying him $12 million.
No, I don't think so. I think your choices are you're letting him walk, maybe the franchise tag, or you offer him I don't know, 2 years for 20 million, 10 million a year, something like that. I don't think it's likely. I think he's going to go to the market and probably will get more than that, but I don't know if the Jets will be the team to do that.
I mean, I like what First State Jets is saying. I would say the reason I'm saying is the reason I would like to keep him for $79 million, which is even kind of steep based on if you look at his stats for the position, is I do think that he brings a different kind of value, though. It's sometimes good to have continuity. It's sometimes good to have veteran players. He is the kind of running back who can act like a receiver. He gives a young quarterback an extra weapon. He's experienced. He's been through it all. He's been through rookie quarterbacks. I think that is a great point being made by FSJ, I'll call him, by First State Jets. I think it's a great point. I think that you have to look. Sometimes there's other outside value other than just the statistics.
And he's a pass catching option, even though the Jets, they won't use him as one, at least not this year. They're not checking it down to him. But for a young quarterback or for a rookie quarterback, that's not the worst thing in the world. It depends on what the price is. I'll say for Breece Hall. I don't think I'm going over 10 million, but if you're in the 8 to 10 million range, yeah, I'd think about it on a 2 or 3 year deal.
Yeah, I would definitely think about it. And someone made another point. It's true. If he played for another team, he might be a $12 billion franchise back. That's true. But you know what? For us, he isn't, though. The reality is he isn't. Right? So that's the gamble of a GM. There might be a GM out there that will say that will believe that. If he played on a different franchise, he'd be a $12 billion running back. Let's give him the money. You got to remember what Saquon got paid. Just a year ago, right? So what Saquon Barkley got paid, or 2 years ago. And you have to really factor that in and say, are you really putting Breece Hall in the category of Saquon Barkley?
No, he's not.
Of where he was before the Eagles season.
Before
the great season. But even still, I still wouldn't. I would still say no.
No, I don't think he is. So obviously, we'll see on that one. We have reached the end of the show. We're at the 4 o'clock mark. So covered a lot. We went through the quarterback decision that is apparently still up in the air, the trade deadline rumors. We will talk to you guys next week. And when we talk to you, very real chance that the Jets are 0-8 at the bye. But a lot of things can change at the bye week. So make sure to tune back in. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm Matt. He's Jeremy. And we'll catch you next time.